Dear friends and colleagues, welcome to this one-day international conference on recent trend in geography organized by Department of Geography and IQSC in association with Maharashtra Bhugol Shastra Parishad Pune. My name is Mr. Sunil Soma Gavit, Assistant Professor, Department of Geography, Padma Bhushan Dr. Vasantrao Dada Patil Mahavidyalay, Tasgaon. I am delighted to have this opportunity to share my research paper. Through this video, which is mostly related to this conference. So, in this regard, today I will discussion here in detail with you with the help of my research work. The title of my research paper is Global Climate Change and its social, economic and environmental consequences. So, I am selected for this topic for research paper. I hope it is very helpful to the society. So, now we all know that it is the time to study on global climate change. This is the right time to the study on global climate change and its social, economic and environmental consequences in the analysis. My research paper is divided into 7 parts. First, introduction, objectives, methodology and data sources, greenhouse gases, causes of global climate change, consequences of global climate change, and last, conclusion. Introduction. Climate change is severe risk to scarcity, decline and could upon decades of progressive effort. While climate change is universal, its harmful impact are more strictly felt by pure citizens and pure countries. They are more helpless because of their high confidence in natural wealth and partial ability to get by with climate change ability and extreme. Restore and maintain key ecosystem can help a community in their adjustment, hard work and hold livelihood that depend ahead on the sewer of the ecosystem. This study presents summary of global climate change intending to help value the idea it is pressure and to give coming to the way in affect civilization and natural situation and proffering solutions. Objectives: to understand concept of greenhouse effect, to study social, economic and environmental consequences of global climate change. Methodology and data sources. The present research article is theoretical in nature. The data collected from various published and unpublished articles, newspaper, journal and books. Greenhouse gases. The greenhouse gases and their sources are as below: water vapor, carbon dioxide, CO2, CS4, methane, nitrous oxide, halocarbons, etc. Causes of global climate change. Earth climate changes in nature, changes in the power sunshine reaching the earth causes cycle of warming and cooling that have been normal feature in the earth's climate change. Some these astrophysical cycle. Consequences of global climate change. While the pently climate change could discuss under the several different category, the extreme this dialogue conflicts in together natural and economic consequences. Natural consequences, economic consequences, mitigation solutions, adaptation solutions, sea level rising, flood, water nuisance, drought and desertification. Conclusion: climate change is fashionable and it is a cause largely anthropological motions. Its impacts are established to touch and will be regarding the periods of onward aspects of actions, the growing rate of global climate change, and decision maker, manufacturing, government or international planners come to see whether practical means critical down and greenhouse gases emissions should be bigger funding version handling program and scheme effort to zone minimization of influence of social health and degrees of fixed sicknesses references. And thank you. I hope that this paper will help to the news researcher, students or community of the society to understand global climate change and its social, economic, environment consequences. Thank you for listening.
Good afternoon to all of you. Myself Anil Hiwai. Here I am presenting my research paper titled Geographical Differences in Utilization of Maternal Healthcare Services in Rural India. So, introduction part. According to United Nations Population Fund, probability of dying or becoming disabled during pregnancy and childbirth is closely associated with the socio-economic status, the norm and value of culture and geographical remoteness of the home of the pregnant woman over the world. India has a very diverse landform and feature. Some study found geographical isolation create a serious problem at the time of pregnancy. The study conducted by P.N. Maribhatt and Zaveri shows that there is a stark regional differences in the various healthcare indicators. For this study, we use National Family Health Survey data, and if there is a sample size less than 30, then we exclude that area. So, geographical grouping of study. National Family Health Survey 4 collected data over 640 districts of the country. We compiled this 640 districts into 88 natural regions suggested by NSSO. These 88 natural regions, our compilation is based on the homogeneity in the geographical or natural region characteristics. Operational definition of the study: maternal health. Maternal health refer to the health during the pregnancy, or we can say that the childbirth. Full antenatal care defined as the treatment which require before delivery. That include full antenatal care includes at least 4 TT injection, a 10-day IFC tablet or syrup, and at least 4 antenatal visits. Institutional delivery: the delivery took place in the hospital or institution considered as an institutional delivery. Postnatal care: woman who got a medical checkup within first 48 hours after delivery are considered to have had a postnatal health check. Rural and urban area is defined in National Family Health Survey methodology. We use 3 variables: full ANC, institutional delivery, and postnatal care. Both are bivariate variable. Bivariate analysis we use and weighted percentage. The most important method we use in our study that composite index. Composite index are used to rank the all 88 area according to their performance in the maternal healthcare utilization. Geographical mapping has done by the ArcGIS software. Main finding of my study: there were considerable difference in the representation of rural women among the regions. Overall, 2 women getting full ANC, 8 are delivering their babies in hospital, and only 6 women are getting postnatal care over all rural area of the country. While considering full ANC, we can find that Nagaland, Uttar Pradesh, Bihar, Arunachal Pradesh, Ranchi Plateau, Vindhya region, Hazaribagh region, and Western Rajasthan, the great desert area of Rajasthan, this area having very less amount of antenatal care services. We can say that these areas are using very less amount of full ANC. The most important finding of the study is observed in this slide. We can observe that the Nagaland, Arunachal Pradesh, Manipur Hill, Meghalaya, Ranchi Plateau and Hazaribagh Plateau area, as well as the foothill area of the Himalaya mountains ranges are having very less amount of institutional delivery. Here the percentage of institutional delivery is very less. Postnatal care services, the result is shows that in Nagaland, Arunachal Pradesh, Ranchi Plateau, Bihar, Manipur Hill and Vindhya region having very less amount of postnatal care services utilization in the rural women of the India. The result of the composite index, this result is showing that the northern eastern area, Himalaya foothill area and the Indo-Gangetic Plain area include, these both area include Nagaland, Arunachal Pradesh, Manipur Hill, Ranchi Plateau, Meghalaya and Vindhya region of the Madhya Pradesh utilizing a very less amount of or all three types of maternal health care utilization. Conclusion, the national region located in Himalaya mountainous ranges include Nagaland, Arunachal Pradesh, Manipur Hill, Meghalaya and Vindhya mountainous ranges. Region observe very less amount of maternal health care services utilization. This region also characterized mountainous terrain and by dense forest cover. Another area which reported lowest utilization of maternal health care services include Chhattisgarh or northern Chhattisgarh. This region also characterized the forest cover over it. Vindhya region of Madhya Pradesh having Vindhya mountainous ranges area of the state also having very less amount of maternal health care utilization. Hence, it can be concluded that area with dense forest had underutilization of maternal health care services across the country. Geographical differences in utilization of maternal health care services within the rural women among themselves, South Indian women were performed better than their coexisting group in the above mentioned geographical area. The limit is only 5 minutes. That's why I am ending my presentation.
Hello everyone, I am Amit Madi, research student, Department of Geography, Shivaji University, Kolhapur. First of all, I thanks to organizers for giving me the opportunity to present my research paper through this video. Today, here I am presenting my research paper entitled A Geographical Analysis of Spatial Pattern in Literacy among the Scheduled Caste and Scheduled Tribe in Rural Areas of Sangli District. A society in India is still largely organized on the basis of caste and religion, which affect the social, economic and political structure of society and affects the social development in rural areas. In the present study, we analyze of root composition of literacy among SC and ST population in Sangli district. The SC and ST together constitute about 8.9% of the total population in Maharashtra in 2011. SC and ST population in Sangli district constituted 12% and 0.65% respectively. Location: the Sangli district located in west of Deccan Plateau of Maharashtra. Nearly about 75% is rural people. There are 735 villages and 7 urban locations in Sangli district. This is a location map of Sangli district. Data used for analysis and sources. Data and materials for the present study were collected from various sources and they include both published and unpublished reports. The major source of extensive data for growth of SC and ST population and literacy rate have been collected from the Census Handbook and District Statistical Office of Sangli district from 2001 to 2011. Objective for present research work: to analyze the spatial distribution of SC and ST population and literacy to understand the disparities in literacy among the SC and ST population in Sangli district. Methodology. In the present study, an attempt has been made to assess and analyze the spatial pattern of SC, ST population and literacy at taluka level. The data collected have classified, processed and presented in the forms of table, charts, maps by applying appropriate cartographic techniques. Result and discussion. The distribution pattern of SC, ST population and literacy in 2001. This table indicates the population of SC and ST population as well as SC literacy rate and ST literacy rate as well as the SC and ST disparity. The highest SC literacy rate is occur in Walwa Tehsil. It is about 73.34% and lowest literacy rate was found in 2001, 62.22%. When we say ST literacy in this table, the highest literacy rate was found in Miras Tehsil. It is nearly 92% and lowest also found in Jat Tehsil. When we see the SC and ST disparity, the highest disparity found in Miras Tehsil and lowest found in Atpadi Tehsil. Distribution pattern of SC, ST population and literacy 2011. This table second also indicates the SC and ST population and literacy rate in Sangli district census 2011. This table shows highest SC literacy rate in Walwa Tehsil and lowest in also Jat Tehsil. ST literacy rate highest found in Palus Tehsil and lowest in Jat Tehsil. It is about 71%. The disparity highest found in Tasgaon Tehsil and lowest found in Jat Tehsil. This is the map of SC and ST literacy rate 2001 and 2011. Conclusion. Spatial pattern of SC and ST population and literacy is one of the resources which play an important role in determining the economic of the region. In the present study, an attempt has been made to know the demographic dimension and human resources, especially to examine the pattern of population and its variation in literacy. Educational attainment and literacy rate was improved both SC and ST population comparing 2001 census to 2011 census. Disparity among the SC ST population as per the 2001, it was 0.099 was observed because of SC literacy 71% and ST literacy 82%. It means about 10.82% gap between SC and ST population. As per 2011 census, SC ST disparity was minimized and goes down to 0.044. The reason behind that was SC literacy 78 and ST literacy 84.21% only. Disparity was decreased in 2011 as compared to the 2001. These are references. Thank you.
Hello everyone, this is Piyush Telang and my topic is the role of power, water and transport facilities in the demographic structure of Yavatmal district. So as we know that the demographic structure of any region is decided on the basis of the infrastructure facilities the region have, and there are many basic infrastructural facilities like housing, the transportation, electricity. So all these basic facilities are important for the uninterrupted functioning of the population and their various kinds of activities. So in addition to that, the water is also an important element of life, and without which the life cannot exist. The transport is also very important for the mobility and transference of goods and services, and also the people. So all these three aspects I have chosen for this particular research work. So I have chosen the transport, the sources of energy, that is the electricity, and the water facilities and its availability in the given study region. So the disparity in spatial development of the region is combined result of the natural environment, its resources, and the existing demographic structure and spatial pattern of the population in the region. So for this particular study, the main objective of this particular study is to explain the availability and variation in the infrastructural facilities of power, water, and transport, and to study the population structure in accordance with these facilities. The methodology which I have adopted for this research is, the first, I have gone through an exhaustive literature survey where I have reviewed many of the published articles, reports, etc. And I have used, this study is basically based on the secondary sources of database, that is the socio-economic abstract, the district census handbooks of 2001 and 11, and the different Tahsil level shape files has also been incorporated for the mapping purpose. The tools and techniques of analysis which I have listed here, so that has been used in the present research. The study area which I have chosen, it is the Yavatmal district, which lies in between the given locational information. And so the district actually has 18 towns. There are 2 census towns, but there are only 16 tahsils which incorporated in 2,137 villages. So this is basically the location map of the study area. So if you see the tahsil wise availability of power, water, and transfer facilities, then this particular table shows how the each facility is distributed over all the tahsils. So the percentages are given here. Likewise, you can observe the population structure of the districts. So the population structure is also given for the year 2001 and 2011 for each tahsil. When I was going through the area and the distribution of population, so I got the density of population. So here you can see that only one tahsil, that is Pusat Tahsil, is having highest population density. The sex ratio and the occupational structure I have represented here for the year 2011. So the maximum sex ratio is observed in the Zari Jamni Tahsil, whereas if we observe the occupational structure, then most of the workers are the agricultural laborers, and therefore the proportion of this agricultural laborers are much more higher than that of other workers. The literacy level of in the year 2011, so that was that is presented here with the help of this table and the bar graph. So the major findings from this study is are, so according to the year 2011, it has been observed that the Pusat Tahsil is having better transport and communication facilities, that is 92.66% than rest of the Tahsils in the district. And it is also observed that the density of population is highest in the Pusat Tahsil, that accounts to 20 persons per square kilometer of area. Yavatmal, being a district headquarter, is lacking in the transport and communication facilities and has only 80% of transport and communication network. And yes, the major fact is seen that there is no connectivity of railway transport in the Tahsil as well as in the district. The literacy level is highest in the Yavatmal Tahsil, mainly because of the availability of several government and private educational institutions in the Tahsil. whereas the density of population is very low, that is 131 in the Yavatmal Tehsil. The presence of various coal mines in Wani Tehsil is attributed to the fact that the Wani Tehsil is having better electricity network that accounts 83.83% of electrified households, industries and commercial areas as per the year 2011. In case of improved water supply from different sources like tap water, tube well and hand pump, the Wani Tehsil has highest rank accounting 92.61% of water facilities. Mahagaon and Zarizamni Tehsils are having low literacy rate than other tehsils in the district. So this may be seen because of the distance from the district headquarter, that is Yavatmal, is higher, and to reach there in a regular basis, road transport is the only means of transportation, and hence sometimes it has been observed as I was going through the literature. So many researchers has observed that the literacy level is somehow attributed to the transportation network, because the students from of primary schools, of secondary and higher secondary and so on, so if they do not have cheaper access of transportation, so cheaper means of transportation, then they they actually not go to the schools or the colleges to the farther distances, and hence the literacy level will get decrease of that particular regions. The water transport and power facilities are the basic prerequisite for setting up the industries in any region. The Yavatmal district is having very few industries, and hence major proportion of working population is engaged in the agricultural and allied activities. So the Digras and Ner Tahsils are having 59.49 and 58.33% of agricultural laborers, and only 5.68 and 4.54 percentages of other workers, which involve civil servants, factory workers, etc. So as I have observed that the proportion of other workers is very less. It is mainly because there is an absence of industries in many tehsils of Yavatmal district. So as per the year 2011, the district was having only 69.03% of water supply facilities, whereas the electricity connections are 68.92% and 76.47% of transport and communication facilities were available as per 2011. So there is actually need to improve the transport, water transport and the power or electricity facilities in the districts, and hence this study also give opportunity to the other researchers to research in such a way by combining two aspects of the society. So thank you very much.
किशनवीर महाविद्यालय वाई डिस्ट्रिक्ट सातारा one day international conference online offline on recent trends in geography organized by Department of Geography and IQAC in association with महाराष्ट्र भूगोलशास्त्र परिषद पुणे 20 मार्च 2021. प्रेझेंटेशन रिसर्च पेपर टायटल गेवराई तालुक्यातील लोकसंख्या गणती घनतेचा अभ्यास, ए स्टडी ऑफ पॉप्युलेशन अर्थमेटिक डेन्सिटी इन गेवराई तालुका, प्रेझेंटेड बाय डॉक्टर सोमनाथ संभाजी लांडगे, असिस्टंट प्रोफेसर इन जिओग्राफी, NSSRS आर्ट्स अँड सायन्स कॉलेज चौसाळा तालुका डिस्ट्रिक्ट बीड. प्रस्तावना. लोकसंख्या विकासाचा पायाभूत घटक आहे. पर्याप्त व आदर्श लोकसंख्या देशाचे संसाधन असून अतिरिक्त व न्यूनतम लोकसंख्या देशाच्या दृष्टीने समस्या असते. लोकसंख्या गतिशील घटक असल्यामुळे लोकसंख्येची स्थल व कालसापेक्ष स्थिती बदलते. यामुळे लोकसंख्या घटकांचा शास्त्रशुद्ध अभ्यास महत्त्वाचा आहे. प्रत्येक प्रदेशातील लोकसंख्येचा अभ्यास करत असताना त्या प्रदेशातील लोकसंख्या, क्षेत्रफळ व संसाधने यातील गुणोत्तर लक्षात घेणे महत्त्वाचे ठरते. दिवसेंदिवस लोकसंख्या वाढत आहे, परंतु भूभागाचे क्षेत्रफळ कायम असून त्यात वाढ होत नाही. त्यामुळे भूभागावरील ताण वाढत असून यामुळे प्रादेशिक असंतुलन निर्माण होत आहे. संयुक्त राष्ट्रसंघाने सन 1974 हे जागतिक लोकसंख्या वर्ष तर 11 जुलै जागतिक लोकसंख्या दिन म्हणून जाहीर केले आहे. उद्दिष्टे: नंबर 1, संशोधन क्षेत्रातील लोकसंख्या गणितीय घनता अभ्यासणे. नंबर 2, लोकसंख्या घनतेचे महत्त्व विशद करणे. सांख्यिकी संकलन व संशोधन पद्धती. प्रस्तुत संशोधनासाठी द्वितीय स्वरूपाची सांख्यिकी माहिती वापरली आहे. माहिती कोश जिल्हा बीड, जनगणना अहवाल जिल्हा बीड, आर्थिक व सामाजिक समालोचन जिल्हा बीड, लोकसंख्या भूगोल इत्यादी संशोधन स्रोतातून माहिती प्राप्त केली आहे. सदर संशोधनासाठी सन 1991, 2001, 2011 या वर्षाच्या सांख्यिकीचा आधार घेतला आहे. लोकसंख्या गणितीय घनता अभ्यासनाकरिता खालील सूत्राचा वापर केलेला आहे. तसेच गणितीय घनता विचलन व टक्केवारी काढलेली आहे. मर्यादा: 3 जनगणना अहवालानुसार लोकसंख्या गणितीय घनतेचा अभ्यास केला असून यामुळे वार्षिक लोकसंख्या कल आणि लोकसंख्या गणितीय घनता कळू शकत नाही. संशोधन क्षेत्र हे बीड जिल्ह्यातील एक तालुका असून हा तालुका जिल्ह्याच्या उत्तरेस आहे. गेवराई तालुक्याचे क्षेत्रफळ 1991 मध्ये 1535.35 चौरस किलोमीटर होते. सन 2001 मध्ये 1455.65 चौरस किलोमीटर होते. गेवराई तालुक्याचे क्षेत्रफळ सन 1991 पेक्षा सन 2001 मध्ये 79.7 चौरस किलोमीटरने कमी झाले आहे. कारण 1 नोव्हेंबर 1999 रोजी शिरूर कासार या नवीन तालुक्याची निर्मिती करण्यात आली आणि गेवराई तालुक्यातील काही भाग शिरूर तालुक्यात समाविष्ट करण्यात आला. गेवराई तालुक्यातील ढोबळ किंवा गणितीय घनता. लोकसंख्या आणि भूभागाचे गुणोत्तर म्हणजे लोकसंख्यीय घनता होय. लोकसंख्या घनता हा लोकसंख्या भूगोलाच्या अभ्यासाचे महत्त्वाचे अंग आहे. लोकसंख्या घनता ही संकल्पना सर्वप्रथम इसवी सन 1837 मध्ये हेनरी ड्युरी हॉर्नेस यांनी आयर्लंडचे रेल्वे नकाशे तयार करताना वापरले. लोकसंख्या घनता लोकसंख्या व भूप्रदेश यामधील गुणोत्तर दर्शवते. लोकसंख्या घनता ही लोकसंख्या वितरणाचा अभ्यास करण्याचे एक महत्त्वाचे परिमाण आहे. लोकसंख्या घनतेवरून लोकसंख्या प्रारूप समजते. लोकसंख्या घनतेवरून कमी, मध्यम व दाट लोकसंख्येचे प्रदेश अशी विभागणी करता येते. उपरोक्त सारणी व आलेखानुसार सन 1991च्या जनगणनेनुसार गेवराई तालुक्यातील लोकसंख्येची गणितीय घनता 154 दर चौरस किलोमीटर होती. सन 2001च्या जनगणनेनुसार संशोधन क्षेत्राची लोकसंख्या ढोबळ घनता 180 प्रति चौरस किलोमीटर होती. सन 1991 पेक्षा सन 2001 मध्ये लोकसंख्येच्या गणितीय घनतेत दर चौरस किलोमीटरला 26 म्हणजे 17% वाढ झालेली दिसते. सन 2011च्या जनगणनेनुसार गेवराई तालुक्यातील लोकसंख्या गणितीय घनता 233 अशी होती. सन 2001 पेक्षा 2011 मध्ये लोकसंख्येची गणितीय घनता प्रति चौरस किलोमीटरला 29.4% वाढली आहे. सन 2001 पेक्षा 2011 मध्ये लोकसंख्येच्या ढोबळ घनतेत 51.3% इतकी वाढ झालेली आहे. सन 1991 व सन 2001 पेक्षा सन 2001 व सन 2011 मध्ये लोकसंख्येची गणितीय घनता दर चौरस किलोमीटरला 12.4% जास्त वाढलेले दिसून येते. संशोधन क्षेत्रात सन 1991 जनगणनेनुसार ग्रामीण लोकसंख्येची गणितीय घनता दर चौरस किलोमीटरला 139 इतकी होती. सन 2001च्या जनगणनेनुसार अभ्यास क्षेत्रातील ग्रामीण लोकसंख्येची ढोबळ घनता प्रति चौरस किलोमीटरला 161 अशी होती. सन 1991 पेक्षा सन 2001 मध्ये ग्रामीण लोकसंख्येच्या ढोबळ घनतेत 16% इतकी वाढ झालेली आढळते. सन 2001च्या जनगणनेनुसार गेवराई तालुक्यातील ग्रामीण लोकसंख्येची गणितीय घनता व दर चौरस किलोमीटरला 211 होती. सन 2001 पेक्षा 2011 मध्ये ग्रामीण लोकसंख्येची गणितीय घनता प्रति चौरस किलोमीटरला 30.43% वाढली आहे. सन 1991 पेक्षा सन 2011 ग्रामीण लोकसंख्येची गणती घनता दर चौरस किलोमीटर 51.1% इतके वाढले. सन 1991 व सन 2001 या 10 वर्षाच्या कालावधीपेक्षा सन 2001 व सन 2011 या 10 वर्षाच्या कालावधीत ग्रामीण लोकसंख्येच्या घनतेत प्रति चौरस किलोमीटर 14.43% इतकी वाढ झालेली आढळते. अभ्यास क्षेत्राची सन 1991 जनगणनेनुसार नागरी लोकसंख्येची ढोबळ घनता दर चौरस किलोमीटरला 5,504 अशी होती. सन 2001च्या जनगणनेनुसार गेवराई तालुक्यातील नागरी लोकसंख्येची गणती घनता दर चौरस किलोमीटरला 6,626 इतकी होती. सन 1991 पेक्षा 2001 नागरी लोकसंख्येच्या घनतेत दर चौरस किलोमीटरला 1,122 20.39% इतकी वाढ झाली. सन 2011च्या जनगणनेनुसार संशोधन क्षेत्रातील नागरी लोकसंख्येची घनता दर चौरस किलोमीटरला 7,805 अशी होती. सन 2001 पेक्षा सन 2011 नागरी लोकसंख्येची घनता प्रति चौरस किलोमीटरला 1,179 18% इतकी वाढली. सन 2001 पेक्षा सन 2011 नागरी लोकसंख्येच्या घनतेत दर चौरस किलोमीटरला 2,301 42% अशी वाढ झालेली आहे. सन 1991 सन 2001 या दशवार्षिक कालावधीमध्ये सन 2001 व सन 2011 या दशवार्षिक कालावधीत नागरी लोकसंख्येच्या घनतेत दर चौरस किलोमीटर 2.39% इतकी वाढ झालेली दिसते. गेवराई तालुक्यातील नागरी व ग्रामीण लोकसंख्येच्या घनतेची सन 1991 व सन 2001 आणि 2001 व 2011 या अनुक्रमे दशवार्षिक कालावधीचा वातावरणिक अभ्यास करता असे निदर्शनास येते की सन 1991 व 2001 वर्षाच्या टक्केवारीनुसार 2001 मध्ये ग्रामीण लोकसंख्येच्या घनतेपेक्षा नागरी लोकसंख्येची घनता 4% वाढलेली दिसून येते. सन 2001 व 2011 या वर्षाच्या टक्केवारीनुसार 2011 ग्रामीण लोकसंख्येच्या घनतेपेक्षा नागरी लोकसंख्येची घनता 12.43% कमी झालेले आढळते. निष्कर्ष व शिफारशी. निष्कर्ष 1. संशोधन क्षेत्रातील लोकसंख्येच्या घनतेत सन 1991च्या तुलनेत सन 2011 दर चौरस किलोमीटरला 79 इतकी वाढ झालेली दिसून येते. 2. ग्रामीण लोकसंख्येच्या ढोबळ घनतेत सन 1991 पेक्षा 2011 दर चौरस किलोमीटरला 71 इतकी वाढ झालेली दिसून येते. 3. नागरी लोकसंख्येच्या घनतेत सन 1991च्या तुलनेत 2011 दर चौरस किलोमीटरला 2,301 ने वाढ झालेली आढळते. यावरून संशोधन क्षेत्रात नागरीकरणाचा कल जास्त असलेला दिसून येतो. 4. सन 1991 व 2001च्या जनगणनेनुसार सन 2001 साली ग्रामीण लोकसंख्येच्या घनतेपेक्षा नागरी लोकसंख्येची घनता जास्त होती. तर सन 2001 व 2011च्या जनगणनेनुसार सन 2011 नागरी लोकसंख्येच्या घनतेपेक्षा ग्रामीण लोकसंख्येची घनता जास्त होती. 5. सन 1991 व सन 2001च्या जनगणनेनुसार संशोधन क्षेत्रातील एकूण लोकसंख्येची घनता व ग्रामीण लोकसंख्येची घनता मध्यम असून सन 2001 काहीशी जास्त आहे. सन 1991, 2001, 2011 तिन्ही जनगणनेनुसार नागरिक लोकसंख्येची घनता खूपच जास्त आढळते. शिफारसी. नंबर 1. संशोधन क्षेत्रातील लोकसंख्या घनता नियंत्रित करणे आवश्यक आहे. वाढती घनता आळा घालण्याच्या अनुषंगाने सामाजिक व राजकीय पातळीवर प्रयत्न होणे गरजेचे आहे. नंबर 2. नैसर्गिक व सांस्कृतिक संसाधनांचा वापर व विकास यासाठी घनता संतुलित असणे आवश्यक आहे. थँक्यू.
Hello, I am Raghunath Sawant, working as assistant professor in SP College, Pune. Today I am here to present my research topic in one-day international conference on recent trends in geography, which is organized by Kishanveer Mahavidyalaya Vai in association with Maharashtra Bhugolshastra Parishad, Pune. My topic is morphometric analysis of Kolwadi subwatershed in Bhor Tehsil using geospatial techniques. Introduction. Watershed means area of land that drain into body of water such as a river and streams. The main aims to study watershed is that to conserve small streams, soil, plants, and all water resources of the catchment while benefiting humanity. Growing demands and competitions for water from domestic, industrial, and agriculture sector reach at the alarming state. In addition to that, population pressure has been increases on water resources day by day in India. Morphometric analysis, which is beneficial to dimension and the mathematical investigation of Earth's surface, shape, and measurement of landforms. Study area. Kolwadi sub-watershed lies in Nira Basin in Western Ghat of Maharashtra and its area 10.66 square kilometer. This is latitude and longitudinal extent of our study area. In the study area, there is a dendritic drainage pattern, elevation 620 meters to 1040 meters above mean sea level. There is an average rainfall in study area 973 millimeters rainfall. This is topographical map of study area. For the study and analysis purpose, we use various materials and methods, in that morphometric and aspects, in that aerial, linear, and relief aspects, which is analyzed by the Horton methods. Morphometric analysis done with the Survey of India topographical maps, open series map. We use thematic maps. Geomorphology map obtained from the Maharashtra Remote Sensing Application Center, Nagpur. Geometric parameters were calculated using the Horton methods. Some GIS techniques also used for the georeferencing and stream network digitizing. This is Kolwadi subwatershed geomorphology map. Geomorphological characteristics are helpful to understand the hydrological behavior of watershed and its effective management. And this map show that effectiveness and the status of the Kolwadi subwatershed in the field. This yellow color indicate the mountainous area, highly dissected plateau area with exposed rock and negligible soil cover. And you can observe in this map, this red color indicate thick soil cover and thick weathered zone. And because it is lies at the foothill of that particular hill ranges. And this green patches of that particular map indicates the moderately dissected plateau, exposed rock and thin soil cover, because this is the sloping area. This slide shows the land use land cover of study area, and this land use land cover shows a relationship between surface characteristics and groundwater recharge potentials. And basically this map indicate the color wise, this green color, this is the basic from that particular mountainous area, and this mountainous area covered by the forest area. There is some cover Kharif and Rabi patches in that particular study area. Land without scrubs, basically some patches and the sloping areas, that land indicate the barren land in that particular maps. And there is some open lands and scrub lands area also found in that particular study area. These are some methods of calculating morphometric parameters, drainage basins, and these are some the methods which we were used in the analysis of study. This map shows the stream orders, and basically in that stream orders you can observe there these stream orders calculated by the Horton methods. And this in that particular stream order there is the highest stream, that is fourth stream orders are found in the field. And then one another map shows the contour maps, and in that particular contour map you can observe the northern section of that particular study area which is hilly, indicated by that contour lines. This is the statistical morphometric analysis of Kolwadi subwatershed linear aspects, and in that statistical data you can observe there is a number of orders of streams, number of streams, then length of the streams, mean stream length, stream length ratios and bifurcation ratios. These are the parameters we are calculated with the Horton-Steiner methods. And in that statistical data, you can observe there is data related to the number of streams. 42 streams is there in the field. Then length of this stream, 35 kilometer length of that particular Kolodi subwater area. This is the map shows the digital elevation model, and the second one is slope map. And basically by that slope map, you can observe the upper side of that particular watershed, that is hilly region, and this digital elevation model indicated the sloping aspects of the study area. These are some statistics related to the study area, and basically this statistic related to the various morphometric parameters which is used in the study. This table number 3 shows the morphometric analysis of Kolodi subwatershed aerial aspects, and this table number 4 indicate the relief aspects of morphometric analysis of our study area. In that particular, the aerial aspects, you can observe there some ground clarities, and you can found that particular areas and the length of that rivers and the relation between that area and length, then diameters and density of that particular drainage density in the field. And you can observe and find out the data related to the relief aspects, basic reliefs, basin reliefs in that particular the watershed. There is a relief ratio, relative reliefs, and ruggedness of that particular Kolodi subwatershed are found in that particular area. Then digital elevation model, once again both the maps are shows individually, this digital elevation models and slope models. Then results and discussions. It can be calculated that morphometric variables of fourth order basins of the area influenced by the lithology. Study has also brought out the various characteristics of drainage network about the sub-watershed. Morphometric analysis done in the linear manner and the aerial aspects in the study area. The results and those obtained can be used watershed management strategies. This result, all these parameters used in the making the strategies of related to management of the watershed. All the output lead to the conclude that Kolodi watershed has potential to perform its drainage function more effectively. Thank you very much for giving me opportunity to present this topic in this conference.
Welcome you all, the respected dignitaries. I am here to present my research paper on ramification of frequent earthquake on land use pattern in and around Patan Tehsil in Satra district of Maharashtra. I am Mr. Sandeep Ambat Tadake from Balasaheb Desai College, Patan. Introduction. Earthquake have short-term impact as well as long-term impact on the major impact of earthquake on human activities. Human activities also affected by seismic events in area. Land use depends on human activities. Percentage of land use and human activities changes with distance from epicenter increases. Earthquake effect on economic activities of people in seismic area. The current research paper is a study of impact of earthquake on land use in and around Patan Tehsil of Satra district. Objective of my research is, first one is to study the geographical setup of the study area. Second is to study the effect of frequent earthquakes on land use in the study area. My study area is the tehsils, that is Patan Tehsil of Satra district, Shirala Tehsil of Sangli district, Shahwadi Tehsil of Kolhapur district, Chiplun and Sangmeshwar Tehsil of Ratnagiri district, in the state of Maharashtra. The study area is earthquake prone region. The study area is located between 16 degree 43 minutes north latitude to 17 degree 53 minutes north latitude and 73 degree 19 minutes east longitude to 74 degree 13 minutes east longitude respectively. The total geographical area of study area is 6,416.68 square kilometer in Maharashtra. Patan Tehsil and surrounding region is the constructing part of Western Ghat. The study area experienced continuous seismicity for last 50 years. The study area comes under 4th zone of earthquake in India. The study area is tempered by 5 to 8 intensity of frequent earthquakes. The database or methodology used for this research paper is maximum primary data about impact of earthquake on society is being collected through field work, that is field visit, surveying and dialogues with local and officials. The secondary data is being collected through rated reference books, magazines, published, unpublished articles, journals, published government reports, district census handbook, newspaper, other media reports and related website. The collected facts is analyzed with the chi-square test. It is used to check the association among two definite variables where OI and EI are studied and probable frequency respectively. To follow chi-square test, dispersal with R1 C1 degree of freedom where R and C are number of rows and columns respectively. We reject the null hypothesis H0 at alpha % level of significance if p-value less than equal to the p-value is a smallest level of significance at which we discard H0. The map table are applied for presenting and interpretation will be supportive for getting suitable inference. This is the land use in earthquake risk zone of study area. Here we can see it is observed that continuous earthquake effect and land use in study area. Land use pattern changes according earthquake risk zone. There are various aspects of land use which is changed when distance from epicenter increases. Land use depends on human activities. Human activities also affected by seismic events in area. Percentage of land use and human activity changes with distance from epicenter increases. The total land under very high risk zone is 1,30,642 hectares. 1,64,972 hectares is in high risk zone. 1,13,341 hectares in moderate risk zone and 1,03,934 hectares is in low risk zone. From this table we can also observe that the increase in forest area is in low risk zone because the most of the area came in Shahwadi and Sanmeshwar Tehsil. These tehsils have large forest area. Next, the area under miscellaneous tree crops in study area is generally or gradually decreases from very high risk zone to low risk zone. Next, the percentage of area in land under barren and uncultivable land from very high risk zone to low risk zone progressively decreases with the distance from epicenter and earthquake risk zone because of there is growth of human agriculture activities with earthquake risk from high to low. Next, it is observed that the area of cultural wasteland is gradually decreases from high risk area to low risk area. This is because of growth of human activities in low risk area as compared to high risk zone. In the same way, area of fallow land other than cultural fallow land is also decreases with earthquake risk decreases and lower with risk zone. The effect of earthquake on cultural fallow land is clearly observed. That is, the earthquake risk decreases, the area under current fallow land also decreases. It is because of fearless growth of human activity in risk zone. The effect of earthquake on net area sown land is clearly observed. That is, as earthquake risk decreases, the area under net area sown land is increases. It is because of fearless growth of agriculture activities in earthquake risk as earthquake risk lowered. The conclusion of my research is it is observed that continuous earthquake affect the land use is in study area. Land use pattern changes according to earthquake risk zone. While analyzing economic activity in study area, Fisher's stress test value is 0.049. Hence, here p value is lower than or less than 0.05 and it indicates that except null hypothesis H0 at 5% level of significance. That is, there is an association between earthquake risk zone and change in land use and occupation, or both factors are dependent. There are various aspects of land use which is changes when distance from epicenter increases. Percentage of land use and human activities changes with distance from epicenter increases. The percentage of area under non-agriculture use is decreases with very high risk zone to low risk zone, and percentage of land under net area zone increases with reduce the earthquake risk in study area. These references are used for this research. Thank you.